today I'm going to show you some of the trickier aspects of how to build a unicyclist. Right, so you're on page 8 and you've got this far, but you haven't glued this little block to here. First of all, you should have made sure that when you glue this into here that it is a good right angle. Then if you can just put some glue, I can show you each side of the hole. Then, rather than lining the back of this up as it shows in the thing, it's more important that it lines up with this cam. So hold it in place centrally and then turn the handle. If I had pushed it all the way back, sometimes it can actually skip off the cam, but just keep it nice and central and keep. See, it's gone off the cam there by doing it too far back. So move it forward slightly, hold it flat and test it that it doesn't jump off. There you go, that's fine. So we're still on page 8. Just want to point something simple out. When you glue these two, if you've got any kind of a right angle or something you know to be right angled, just use it in both directions for both of them and then leave to dry. So on page 9, when you put the lid on, as you can see I've got a slight lip there and a slight overhang there. I don't want to force the lid. The most important thing is to get this vertical. So put the lid where it's happiest to keep this vertical. Don't force that to lean. And also remember that when you glue that on, it must be parallel to the edge when the handle is in the down position and the cam's in the down position. Now we're on page 10 and putting the wheel on. Just make sure that you do get the correct 21 spaces. They're the thinnest ones, otherwise it will not work if you use any of the thicker ones. Slide that along without glue, then put a little bit of glue to the side of it, slide the wheel on, then a little bit of glue against the wheel, slide the next one on, and then just either you should have used the glue guard in between there to get a space, or just pull that wheel very slightly out so you've got a little bit of free movement like that. Just pull it out slightly more. There. Okay, so moving on to page 11, you take this part that doesn't have the hole underneath, slide it on without any glue, then put the glue guard in place, and with the other pedal glue in that hole, wipe off any excess and glue that in the upward position whilst you've got the other side in the down position. Then remove the glue guard. And leave to dry. So still on page 11, you've glued this little frame, put some glue at the bottom of each of those, carefully drop it down to locate with those two holes. Remember this one isn't glued, so you can move it around. And then just carefully test and move the wheel to make sure it doesn't rub on either of those. And make sure it's vertical, and then leave to dry. So on page 16, I just want to show you it's really important to put plenty of glue on this, because you won't be able to access it later if you haven't put enough glue. Slide this on. Put a little glue guard in place and move very near to the glue guard and lift out. Now what you want is an even movement from backwards to, can you see? I think I just need to tip that forward slightly. Just a little bit more. There. An even swing. Now leave that plenty of time to dry before gluing the other half of the hip on. So you're on page 18 and 19, you've just glued these two parts to the arms. It then tells you to glue the hands on at this point, but I don't, because sometimes they're not quite at the right angle for hitting the drum. So leave the hands off and glue them as the very last thing you do on the model. Right, on page 21 when you're gluing the body on, try and find a cocktail stick or something as thin to put the glue inside those two holes. Wipe off any excess, you don't want them gluing to the arms that you've just dropped on. And line up, it's a bit of a fiddle with the two holes and push down, and have the spacer behind just to give you that bit of a gap, because you want these hands then to swing freely, so don't push it down too hard. And then just leave to dry. So turn the handle to get the hands to their closest position to the drum, then turn it back again slightly so they open slightly. Put glue on and tilt the hands and glue them so they are touching the drums, and then very carefully open and close, and do the same with the other side.